The Devil's Hand MC operated on the principle of minimal visibility and maximum impact. They didn't seek turf wars or public acclaim. They sought silence, profit, and the rigorous enforcement of their own strict code, a code that forbade the targeting of civilians, especially those struggling to survive. Their territory was the vast, forgotten expanse of the Badlands, a place where official law was a joke and true authority was earned through respect and fear. Their president, a man named Reaper, was an anomaly even among outlaws. He was a tactician with a quiet severity, haunted by a past life that had forced him to take the road. He carried the burden of the club's honor, ensuring that while they broke state and federal law, they never violated the sacred law of the vulnerable. The current problem wasn't a matter of territory, but one of morality, centered in the forgotten mining town of Black Creek. For years, Black Creek had been victimized by a singular persistent curse, the deliberate poisoning of their water supply by a massive, unscrupulous corporation known as Apex Mining. Apex had abandoned the mines years ago, leaving behind toxic sludge that was slowly leaching into the town's aquifer. The sickness was rampant, targeting the elderly and, most tragically, the children. The local authorities were either bought or beaten into silence, and every lawsuit filed was tied up in courts designed to protect corporate power, not people. Reaper received the plea not through an official channel, but through an old debt owed to the Devil's Hand by a former associate, a Black Creek resident whose daughter was now gravely ill. The associate presented Reaper not with an offer of payment, but with the undeniable truth. A town was dying slowly, legally, and painfully. Reaper gathered his senior officers. Preacher, the club's VP, a massive man with a quiet theological bent toward retribution. Whisper, the secretary, whose expertise lay in digital infiltration and extracting data, and Shank, the sergeant-at-arms, a lean, wiry fighter who was all coiled readiness. The meeting was held in the Devil's Hand hidden bunker, the only light source, the flickering map of the territory. Apex Mining, Reaper stated, his voice flat and lethal. They are killing Black Creek to save their bottom line. The contamination is deliberate, the cover-up systematic. They claim bankruptcy protection and legal immunity. They hide behind paper. Preacher nodded grimly. The paper trail is endless, Reaper. They built the system to protect themselves from this exact scenario. We can't sue them. We can't petition them. The law is their shield. Then we take the shield, Reaper said, pulling out a detailed blueprint of the abandoned Apex site, a sprawling, fenced-off complex housing the main storage tanks and the toxic containment systems. The town needs three things: clean water, medical aid, and justice that hits the executives where it hurts the most, their security. Whisper interjected, pointing to a server farm location on the blueprint. Their entire corporate security framework is run from that decommissioned site. The contamination data, the internal memos proving they knew the risks, it's all archived there. If we hit the physical site, we might trigger a full purge of the data remotely. Reaper considered this. The goal wasn't just to stop the poisoning. It was to gather the evidence that would finally force the government to step in and hold Apex accountable. The Devil's Hand wasn't just enforcing their code. They were providing the necessary leverage for legitimate justice to finally function. Shank, you take a skeleton crew and isolate the main pumping station before we move, Reaper ordered. The contaminated pipes run right under the creek bed. We need to cut the feed and reroute the runoff into the desert basin, temporarily until we can force Apex to fund the proper cleanup. Non-lethal force only. We are healers tonight, not executioners. Preacher, you and the main force secure the perimeter and keep the Black Creek residents safe, Reaper continued. Apex uses private security patrols, ex-military types. They will shoot to kill to protect the corporation's liability, not their life. Engage them only as necessary to keep them off the facility. Reaper looked at Whisper. You're with me. We are going straight for the archives. We hit the data center, extract the proof, and then we destroy the physical source of the contamination, the control systems for the toxic storage tanks. We don't just stop the leak, we dismantle their weapon. The plan was a high-wire act of technical precision and controlled violence. It was a race against the clock, and against the possibility of the entire town succumbing to the slow corporate poison. They were outlaws, fighting for a town that wouldn't know their names, for a justice that needed the dirty hands of the devil's hand to be delivered. The ride out was tense, silent, and fueled by a righteous fury. They were riding into Black Creek not as criminals, but as the only enforcement agency left willing to break the law to save a life. The approach to the Apex mining complex was eerily silent, cloaked in the deep, cold blackness before dawn. The devil's hand split into their operational cells, moving with practiced efficiency. Shank's team, masters of utility interception, crept along the creek bed. Their objective was critical. The contaminated water feed had to be cut and redirected before the main action began, preventing further immediate harm. Within minutes, the sound of heavy metal shearing and welding equipment, muffled by sound-dampening raps, confirmed the successful shutdown of the toxic pipeline. Meanwhile, Reaper and Whisper infiltrated the abandoned main building, the heart of Apex's ghost operation. The server farm was housed deep within the structure, protected by outdated but still functional security measures. Whisper, a ghost in the machine, neutralized the magnetic locks and bypassed the local alarm system with quiet clicks on a customized terminal. "We're in, Reaper," Whisper murmured into the mic, pointing down a dusty, fluorescent-lit hallway. "The main archive room is 50 feet ahead. I have remote access to the backup power grid. I can give us 5 minutes of full power before the security protocols flag the intrusion." They reached the archive. The massive server racks hummed with stale corporate data, years of calculated negligence and systematic cover-up. Whisper immediately connected their encrypted drive, initiating the transfer of thousands of gigabytes of internal memos, test results, and correspondence, proving Apex knew they were poisoning Black Creek. As the data transfer progress bar slowly crept forward, the external perimeter erupted. Preacher's team had been spotted by the private security patrol. The exchange was precisely controlled. The Devil's Hand fired non-lethal, high-impact rounds, enough to neutralize the armed guards without fatality, adhering strictly to Reaper's code of the healer. The sound of shouting and impact rounds echoed through the cavernous building. "Preacher, hold the line. We need 2 more minutes," Reaper called out, his hand instinctively resting on the cold steel of the heavy wrench he carried. A tool of force, not death. Suddenly, a new threat emerged. A secondary hidden alarm, triggered by the power surge from the rerouted pipeline, flared to life on Whisper's console. "Reaper, countermeasure initiated. Apex is running a remote wipe of the primary servers. If they complete the purge, the evidence is gone." The transfer was only at 80%. Reaper knew they couldn't wait. The evidence was the only thing that would save Black Creek permanently. He had to stop the wipe physically. He grabbed a heavy metal bar. "Whisper, secure the drive and get out. I'm going for the core." Reaper charged toward the central processor bank, a dense tower of humming components containing the purge sequence control. He swung the metal bar, impacting the rack with savage, precise force. Sparks flew, circuits shorted. The humming died instantly, followed by the terrifying, deafening silence of a dead machine. The remote data purge was stopped, frozen mid-sequence. "Data saved, Reaper." "Transfer complete," Whisper shouted, pulling the encrypted drive from the terminal. "Now, for the contaminant," Reaper replied. He rushed through the silent hallways to the main control room for the toxic containment systems. He bypassed the physical safety lock with a swift, destructive blast from a high-powered breach tool, then began manually flooding the critical system components, valves, relays, and pumps, with a massive surge of water, causing catastrophic hydraulic failure. The system that managed the toxic flow was now permanently inoperable. As the morning light began to spill through the dusty windows, casting long, dramatic shadows, the Devil's Hand retreated. They left behind a ruined facility, paralyzed security guards, and undeniable proof of corporate malfeasance, all wrapped up in a neatly tagged military-grade encrypted drive for the authorities to find. Reaper rode out of Black Creek just as the first town residents were waking up, unaware of the ghosts who had saved them. Within days, the clean water would flow again, and Apex Mining's legal shields would crumble under the weight of the undeniable data. The town was saved. The Devil's Hand vanished back into the Badlands, never taking credit. never seeking thanks. They remained outlaws, but their code had been honored. The legend of the shadowy figures who dismantled a billion-dollar corporation to save a dying town began to take root in whispers, growing with every passing year. The outlaw had become a silent, undeniable town legend, the unseen hand of justice, proving that sometimes salvation arrives on two wheels, smelling of gasoline and righteous anger.